Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. I've got this libertyunbound.com /node/2047 article by Jayant Bandari. Never the Same Again. Now, not having permission to show his entire article and republish it, I've excerpted just a couple of paragraphs that I want to talk about. So let's do that here and now. He says, the Chinese today compete with the best in the world, and their creativity has been unleashed. Now, I'll just say real quick that I heard from a guy in China that the very best high-quality things made in China today are made by foreign companies under foreign trade standards, under foreign management standards. Chinese themselves still only make garbage. So, if they compete with the best in the world today, that's the most you can say for them, is that they compete with them. They certainly don't out-compete the best in the world today. Certainly not. Okay. Their creativity has been unleashed. Really, what have they created? They're able to do knockoffs. What have they created? What have they created? In many areas of research, Chinese organizations produce more quality and quantity of output than any other country on the planet, including the US. That's a strange sentence. Areas of research. In areas of research, Chinese organizations produce more quality and quantity. I don't get that. But let me, why would it do that? Damn it to hell. Oh my God, oh my God. I try to close that. You can never tell. Sometimes I click on it to open and it closes. Sometimes I click on it to close and it opens. You can never tell what it's going to do. Watch. Close. That time it closed. Go figure. Okay. Chinese organizations produce more quality and quantity of output than any other country on the planet. Now, he changed the subject from research to production. And they only produce because they use our methods. Those aren't their methods. So, and what has Chinese research produced? Let me pause for a second and tell you a little bit about Chinese higher education. If you make it through the lower schools that send you to the higher education schools, then you are part of some sort of elite upper class. Once you get to college, you're already part of the elite upper class. Only the elites even get in the door of colleges. So, you, if you're a college teacher, let's say, you are teaching people who are their ticket, they've got the golden ticket. Their life is made. They're at the top of the hierarchy in society. Can you flunk them? Absolutely not. Does it matter if they come to class? No, it does not matter, because you have to pass them. You have to give them straight A's. Why? Because they're in the upper echelons. They are the upper crust of society. So you can't even train them. They won't come to class. They won't listen to you. They're better than you. You're just a teacher. And that is what Chinese society runs on. Those are the professionals from those schools. Now you might say that's garbage, that's not going to work. And I say, well, of course you're right. And therefore foreign trained people are worth quite a lot in China. And not only that, but being able to copy what foreigners do is worth a lot in China, because they don't have an education system, period. All right, so they're more productive than other people on the planet, possibly because they use our methods and they use slave labor. But this research thing, he changed the subject quick from that, didn't he? He didn't even finish his sentence on research. The reading habit is increasing rapidly among Chinese. So more people are reading. There are tens, perhaps hundreds of Chinese cities whose downtowns look more modern than those in the most developed part of the world. Now, don't be seduced by the fancy subways in Moscow. Moscow had amazing subways. Don't be seduced by the fancy cities that Germany was building in the 1930s with these model roads going everywhere. They had these thing called the Autobahn, and it was dazzling the whole world. And America didn't even start building those for another 20 years after Germany was building them. So it's like if we start building high-speed rail in the 2030s or 2040s, and China already has it. But still, don't be seduced by that, okay? We've seen that before. China owes a lot of its growth to Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore, countries that were able to channel both Western technology, adapted for Chinese cultural language, and Western investments. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think a lot of you appreciate. I think certainly Yaron Brook does not appreciate this when he says, China's not communist. They published my book, therefore they're not communist. China owes its success to these megalopolises of success. In the case of Hong Kong and Taiwan, teeny tiny areas, even Singapore, very small. And China owes 99.9% of its success to the fact that Hong Kong is right there. So, do not take this for granted. And if Hong Kong is destroyed by China, that will effectively destroy China in many important ways. Continuing, China became successful by copying Western technology and often improving on it. I don't know what you mean by that. You'd have to concretize. As far as I've seen, they take it and cheapen it. Whatever we do in the West, they do it in China for half as much and with smaller pieces and more plastic and less metal. Something that I, unlike others in the West, see as a massive achievement. Yeah, I would just have to, I don't know what, unlike others in the West. Yeah, who are the others? I don't know. And you'd have to tell me more about this. Improving on our technology. You'd have to tell me a little bedtime story about that. Okay, because copying is not all that easy, as is demonstrated by the failure of the other third world countries to do the same. Well, they have China has Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore. Not only that, but Japan too. So no, copying's not all that easy, but it is if your neighbors do it, you can look over the fence and see it. It's not so easy to copy something that's 100 miles away or 1,000 miles away, but to copy something that you can just look over the fence and see what they're doing, that might be a little bit easier, huh? I think that's what we're seeing with China. China owes its gratitude to the West for enabling this. Yes, yes, yes. China is ungrateful. They think that they are large, powerful, and rich, and that is to their credit. But to the extent that they have any wealth or power at all, it is to the credit of the West, not to the credit of the Chinese, who are under a system of slave labor right now. So they do owe us gratitude for everything they have, and if they destroy Hong Kong and cut off consensual government, then what they have will stop in its tracks and begin to melt very quickly. Okay, according to the agreement that China had with the UK, it was to keep Hong Kong politically independent until 2047. But Xi cannot keep his hands off the golden egg-laying goose. See that Hong Kong is important. It is the golden egg-laying goose. He and nationalist Chinese fail to understand that Hong Kong, under the party's control, will no longer be Hong Kong and will break one of the major channels of progress for China. Yes, if you're in Hong Kong or know somebody in Hong Kong, tell them to get out. Repatriate your money to the United States of America if you can, but first of all, get out of there. Now, the sooner you get out, the better. Stuff will not be as valuable in the future if Hong Kong goes down the road that it looks like it's going. It can either go bad or just go normal. But there's no good future. There's no good future. All right, continuing. Mr. Jayant Bhandari says, I go to China often. Chinese people are clearly fearful of discussing politics in the open, and often among friends. Now that's a scary thought, isn't it? So let's go take a look at this video here. This is the Hong Kong protesters are destroying my family by Liao Y86. We're not going to watch the whole video. We're going to skip to right about 4 minutes here.
Down the line, my wife's parents' side, some of them are in Hong Kong, some of them are in mainland China, and they're absolutely at odds, even within one household. It's getting terrifying. I'm watching these very, very positive people that once wanted to speak their mind, not being able to do so. And my parents-in-law, my aunts and uncles, all the Chinese people, my Chinese friends, now taking a very, very staunch opinion against democracy, against the West, against America, against me, against my wife, against my Hong Kong family. It's all falling apart. And it's all I wrote on the picture's caption was, Hong Kong scenery is beautiful. I was met with over 100 replies immediately from friends and family telling me that I don't deserve my Chinese wife. I need to cut all ties with people with Chinese blood. How dare do I have an opinion like this?
All right, you see, it's getting really, really out of control. We joke in America about Thanksgiving dinners getting tense. But in China, they're attacking each other within households and within families over the protests in Hong Kong. Now, one of the reasons that they're doing that is surely out of utter fear for their lives. That they can be arrested and tortured to death and their intestines sold to the highest bidder on about 24-hour notice. They know that they can just disappear. So some of them are just going to be echoing the state line because they are fearing for their lives. Now, he says a very spooky and bizarre thing. I insert this stuff from the video Liao Y86. I inserted that. That is my insertion there. So we go from him saying Chinese people are clearly fearful of discussing politics in the open, even among friends. He then says something very strange. He says, I like the fact they are politically not active and focus on their own circle of influence. He likes to go talk to people who are in a bubble that does not include politics. They just mind their own business. That's like sad and scary. The Greeks had a word for people who weren't interested in politics. They called them idiot. Idiot. We call it idiot. Someone who's not interested in politics. What is politics? Politics is the actions of the people around you. You don't care what the people around you are doing? That can be very dangerous. You should be interested in what the people around you are doing because they might come and assault you as a group. You should be aware of what's going on. So that's funny that it is enforced on them in China that they not pay attention to the group around them and what's going on. If you do seem to be paying attention, if it seems like you're paying attention to what's going on, then you will be arrested and killed. So just don't pay attention to what's going on. And when you do have to pay attention to what's going on, parrot the party line. Just say what you're supposed to. Now, he makes a claim here. China would have been much better off never acquiring Hong Kong. And what he means to say, in my opinion, is that China would have been much better off if it could continue going on its way while Hong Kong continued to be productive. But this is all going to go sour now because they have possession of Hong Kong and they're just going to have to go in there and rape it. They have no choice. They can't stop themselves. As we can see, they are unable to stop themselves. They're going to destroy Hong Kong. And then what? They will have destroyed the golden egg-laying goose. And all that's left is Taiwan. Will America defend Taiwan? I don't know. We shall see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's the end of what I have to say about this subject right now. I think that Hong Kong is in a situation where things are either going to muddle along like they are, or things are going to get worse. Occasionally things will get worse, then they'll muddle along. Then worse, then muddle along. How quickly it goes downhill, I don't know. But get out while the getting's good. Yep, I was right that Hong Kong is definitely in for it because China is communist. I laughed back in 1997 when the Economist said that airplane flights out of Hong Kong are full. Every single airplane flight leaving Hong Kong is full to the max. And I said, yep, run while you can. And then everybody said, oh, wait, it's not that bad. They're letting Hong Kong be. They can't. They won't. It will end. Please patronize me if you support what I'm doing. Go to patreon.com, the link below, and give me $5 or $10 a month, and encourage me to do more videos, more interviews, more discussions, long form, short form, educating, entertaining, maybe painting videos. I love to do stuff about painting and art nowadays. Go to Patreon and support Mr. Cropper if you want him to spend more time on his channel messing around and doing the important lifting of objectivism that we've been planning on doing.